Let me show you a simple system that you can build today that will take care of checking back in with your old customers and upselling your products or your services to them. Because one thing that I noticed that a lot of business owners do is that they spend all of their time chasing new leads and new customers, and they completely forget the old ones, the ones that have patronized them once, because those ones already trust you, they already know about your service. So the tendency of them buying from you again is almost 90%. So this system will make sure that you do not forget your old customers. Okay, so let's get right in. So for this system, we'll be building it on Zapier, and Zapier is one of the most, for me, beginner friendly AI automation tools that any business owner can use to build AI automations for their business. So once you sign up, this is the dashboard that you would see. So you just simply come here to Zaps here, or you come here, click on this create, and then you're going to see the same thing. So whatever works for you, it's fine. So let's say we click on this. So our trigger here is going to be for it to run every day. So we want it to every day go into our database and check which customer has been inactive for a while and then reach out to them. That is what we just want to create. So our trigger is going to be to run every day. So we are going to go in here, and then we want to take schedule here. So that's the trigger that we're going to be using, and then our trigger event is going to be for it to run every day. So we want it to go in every day and filter for inactive customers and reach out to them. So you click on continue here, and then the time of the day, whatever works for you, you can do maybe 11 a.m., 12 a.m., whatever. Sorry, 11 a.m., 12 p.m., whatever works for you. You've been in the business long enough, and you know when most of your customers are always active. When the times that a lot of them tend to always speak, to have meetings with you, those are their active times, and that is when you want to schedule this to be running, because one thing that you want to target is when they're active and when they will most likely see your message. You don't want to target them when they're already sleeping. It will be pointless. So you are the business owner, and you know what time your customers are most likely going to be active. So that's when you want this to run. So let's say we do 12 p.m. because that's midday. I'm guessing everybody's around midday. Okay. Or maybe I can do 11. Let me just do this 12 p.m. So you can click on continue, and then you test the trigger. It really does not pull anything here. It just pulls up the date and the time here, and you click on continue with selected record. It takes you to the next action, and the next action is going to be our search, the action that searches the database. So you want it to search our database and filter out customers that are inactive. So our database is Airtable. You can switch it for Google Sheet or whatever your database is. So the action event here is going to be for it to get all records. So you want it to grab all records, and then it's going to filter out for the inactive customers, if that makes sense. So you want it to list all the records from this table, and then you go ahead and create your connection. If you don't already have a connection, you're going to see a sign in here, and that's where you're going to sign into your Airtable. But I have connection, that's why I'm saying select here. So I have these three connections. I have to select one. So I click on continue here, and then I have to choose my base, and in this case my base is restaurant menu. I choose my table, and my table is customer, and I leave everything as it is, and then I continue. So if I test step here, let's see what we get. Okay, so I've gotten the data here. So the next thing I have to do is come back here and add a step. So my next step is going to be the filter step. So I want it to filter out only customers that are completed their service with us. So I don't want it to filter out customers that are still currently doing their service, or customers that are yet to become customers, right? Or that are still leads, are yet to become customers. So I want it to only filter out customers that have completed their service with us and they have not been around for a minute. So I want to create a filter here. So I'll go ahead and click this to close out this pilot. And then the next thing I want to do is continue only if in my get records I go to status. Nope, that's not what I'm looking for. Yeah, okay, this is it. So if this field contains, in my own case, what I'm using as the identification is completed. So that's what I'm using in my database. My database has completed. So what I'm going to say here is if the field here, which is the status, is equal to completed, that means the person had completed the service with us. That's what I used as my own, identifier. So you can use something else, like maybe done with done or something, whatever you use, that should be what you map it to here. So that's what your text is going to contain. So in my own case, it's completed. So I click continue, and then I continue. So it takes me to the next step. So the next step that I want to do here is going to be to calculate the time. So one thing I want to do is only reach out to them if they have been inactive for a certain amount of time. So they have not bought something from us in 60 days. That's how I want to reach out to them, because it would not be sensible to reach out to them if they just completed their service with you and you're already trying to sell something else to them. That's already crazy, right? So you want to give them some amount of time to, maybe not reach out and say, oh, I want to buy this, I want to get this from you, and then after that amount of time you can reach out yourself. So what we want to do is reach out to them after 60 days of them being inactive. So that is what we want to reach out. That is what we want to establish here. We only want to reach out to them when it's been 60 days and we have not heard anything from them, we have not sold anything to them, then we are going to reach out. So I'm going to use a formatter here. So the event here is going to be date and time. I'm going to be playing with date and time. So what I want to do here is to continue, and then the transformation here, what I want to do here is compare dates, right? So I do compare dates, and then my start date is going to be mapped to when the record was last modified. Because here's how it would work in real sense. Once a customer comes in, we create the customer's name in our database, right? So every time, depending on their journey, if they move from being a sales qualified, being a marketing qualified to a sales qualified, from being a sales qualified to actually being a customer. So every time they make that move, every time their life cycle changes, we go back into our database and we update that. So because we are going back into our database and we keep updating their status depending on what their life, what life cycle they are in, what life cycle stage they are in, rather. So there is going to be a field called last modified in your database. There is a field called last modified. So it picks up every time you modify any of those those records there. So that is what we are going to map our start dates to. So because once a customer has completed a service with us, we are not going to update that particular field again, because we are done with them. So we are not going to update it again. So we are searching for when was the last time we updated that customer. If it's been up to 60 days since we updated that customer status to completed, that means that customer has not been active for 60 days. So we have to reach out to that customer. So that's what we're just trying to establish here. So our start date is going to come from when we last modified this, which is going to be this. I need to go back into my database to check that to be sure what I'm working. So this is our last modified field. So we're looking for 321. So for some reason, this Zapier is late by 1 hour. So yeah, this is what you're looking for. This is going to be our start date. So our end date is going to come from the schedule, the schedule Zapier, the schedule by Zapier, which is the the module that picks up the current date and it starts running with it. So that's going to be our end date. So we come back here and we pick this pretty date here. That's the current date. Pretty date is current date. That's how Zapier writes its own. So I think I will leave this field blank. It really doesn't matter. And then we press continue. And then let me test this step and see what I'm going to get. So I'm supposed to get the number of, so here I have the number of days, which is 0. I have the number of hours, which is 15. I have the number of minutes, which is 21. Okay, so that works perfectly, and it pulls up days, how many days it's been between the two numbers. So yeah, that works perfectly. So the next thing I want to do now is create another filter. Like I said, it's going to be 60 different like we want to reach out to them after they've been inactive for 60 days. So we're going to create a filter that if the number of days is directly equal to 60, then it should reach out to them. So we come here and click this filter here. So let me minimize this. So what I want to do here is if the date here, that's this, so number of days here, and content, or you can do exactly matches, and we do 60. So that means if the day difference between those two is 60, it's going to continue running, right? So we do continue here, and we do continue again, and it takes us to the next step, which is going to be the step that creates the message that we are going to send to them. So for this, we're going to use AI by Zapier. You can use OpenAI, but let's just use AI by Zapier, so it will be easy to set up, and you don't need API tokens or anything for this particular one. So our input field is going to be one. We'll do the customer name. We get it from get all records here. So this right here is the customer name. If you do more here, you'll be able to see this. That's the customer name. So the next thing we want to do is the service the customer paid for. just in case it might need information about the service it paid for previously, so it can know how to, what's the best service to upsell to them again. So this is what the customer paid for, and we said the next field that we are going to add is going to be the sender name. We're sending the message, so we do my name, and then I say the next thing I want to do is sender position, which is going to be maybe say sales manager. I save this, and the last field is going to be sender company, just in case I want to add that. And then I save. So this particular one, it might be best that you also add your knowledge base that states all the, the services that you offer, what service you recommend afterward, because that will give it more knowledge and it will be able to recommend a better, upsell service to the customer. But I don't have a knowledge base, so I'm going to leave that blank. But you might want to include that for your own when you're actually building this to use for your, for your business, because I guess that you already have like what's it called, a customer book or a sales book that all your sales team use. So it's just easy to put that up here. So for the prompt here, I already typed a prompt, so I'll just put it in here. This is the prompt I have, but if this prompt is not good enough for you, you can always improve it. And now that I have this, the next thing is to come to my output field here, and I want to have the email body because I want to send it as an email, right? So I want to have email subject. I make this as required. I save. I want to add another field which is going to be the email body. So I'll do this is the body of the email, and then I make this required and I save. So the next thing I can do is just generate this. So he says, I hope this message found you. It's been a while since we had the pleasure of working with you, and I genuinely wanted to check in to see how you're doing. I wanted to take a moment to ask you about your experience. Yada, 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 yada. I think this is good enough, so we can just do finish here. It takes us to the next step. So our last step is going to be the step where we actually send an email or we create a draft. For the sake of professionalism, I would say for this particular one, you can create a draft and have someone in the sales team go and look at it and see if it made something wrong, because this one you're really trying to get a comeback at this client. So any small mistake that you make might cost you that particular customer, and you don't want to do that. So for this particular kind of system, I would say you should create a draft and then notify your team members in your maybe Slack channel, and then someone will go and look at it and make sure that it is correct, it is recommending the right service, it is saying everything correctly, and then before you can now proceed to send it. So let's just do that right now. So we'll do email here, and our event here, like I said, is going to create a draft. My account already exists, so it will just pull that up for me. Click continue. So to here, I will map it to the email here. So where is my email? Yeah, this is my email. Will not copy anybody, I will not blind copy anybody. But for the subject here, I'm going to take from here, which is this, and then from here is going to be my own email here, and then the name here is going to be me, and then the body here is going to be from here, and I'll do email, pick the wrong thing, email body. Yes, so that now makes sense. I don't have any signature, and my signature is already included in the body of the email, so that is good enough. So I leave everything as it is, and I'll continue. So I'm going to go ahead and test this step to see. Yeah, so it has created the draft for me. So I'm going to add the last step, which is going to be notifying a team member on Slack to go and check the message, right? So I click on add step here, and I will do Slack. And what I want to do is send a channel message. I want to send it to everybody so that they can just go and one person can just pick it up. But if you would, let's just do this so that one person in the team puts. So we want to send a channel message, and then we do this as my own channel, and then check out the draft message for. Then we can do the customer name here. You can now do customer name. You can also include last contacted, just in case. If any details you want to include here that you think your team member might need to know so that they can better analyze the message there, that is also fine. So I can also add email drafts. You can decide to send it as a bot or not as a bot. Let me say I will send it as a bot. Say no here. That means these other things that I don't want a link to the Zap. So I do no auto expand. I don't think I want that. And that is fine with me. So I'll go ahead and continue this and I will test this step. So yeah, it has sent something to my Slack. So let's pull that up and see what it looks like. So I'll go to all this money here. Yeah, so you really just brought this out like this. But if you don't like the way it put this out like this, you can always go back in and change this right here. And then you can map it to the actual email that it created here. Whichever one works for you. Add the email body if that's what you prefer, because so that way when you're going to the email draft, you can know which one is which, and then you can just continue this. And if we retest this, we're going to have the email body in our message. Okay, so you see how it does. It says, "Dear Joe, I hope this." So it includes this for you, so you can also look at it and then go to your email and you'll be able to tell which email it is. Then so you just review it and proceed to send it to the customer. So now that we have this running, we publish this. The other alternative thing you can do is do a Slack approval here. You can also change this to Slack approval if that's what you would prefer. You can send this to request approval. Where is it now? Yeah, you can change this to request approval. So you can just send the email that it has drafted now to the whoever is in charge, and once they approve, it goes ahead to send that email to them. Or alternatively, you can just go in, have a team member go in, review the email properly, and then go ahead to send that email, whatever works for your team. For me, I would say let someone just go into the email itself to review it, right, to be sure that it is formatted better, everything is looking good before they go ahead and send it to the customer, because these customers are athletes as much as they can fall through the cracks at any point in time. So any little mistake like poor formatting or something is going to throw them off and they're not going to be interested, right? So you want to make sure that you dot all your I's and you cross all your T's with this customer. So I would recommend you send this a message to your team. Where is it? Yeah. So use this. Let me do it all over again. And then the message here, I will put customer name. Why am I putting my name? I don't know how to spell customer again. Customer name. Any other details you want to do there. So you don't want it as a bot, and then you don't want to include a link to this app, and every other thing works like that. And you can test this step. It is going to send that out. So the last step is going to be to publish this app. So now every morning or every midday by 12, it's going to go through all of your Airtable records, filter by the customers that have been inactive, and confirm if they have been inactive for 60 days. If yes, it proceeds to draft a message to them, asking them how they are, of selling a new service to them, and then it creates that draft in your email and then sends a message to your sales team so that they can go in and review the draft. If it's good enough, they send it over to the customer. With a system like this, you can be sure to reactivate at least 3 out of 4 of your customers that you reach out to every time. I promise this works like magic. Okay, that being said, if you have any questions, do leave it in the comments below and make sure to subscribe to the channel. If you found this useful, I'm going to be seeing you in my next one.